Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to go ahead and go over the answers on the check-in. Remember, the check-in is going to be very similar to the end of the week Friday quiz, which will go in the grade book as an assessment. So it'll be weighted heavier and can really bump your grade up or bring your grade down. So we're going to review it so that way it'll bump your grade up. All right, and the things that people miss the most was just remembering the difference between surface area, and perimeter, and volume. So we're going to go ahead and go over these answers extremely quickly, just because it's mainly just remembering the difference between those things. So for perimeter, the very first one, if it's a shape that has straight lines, you're just going to add up the outsides, the lengths of all of the sides. So if it's a triangle, you're adding up these 3 lengths. If it was a square or a rectangle, you would add up the 4 lengths. If it was a weird shape that looks something like this, and as long as they are all straight lines, you would just add up all of these lengths, and that would be your perimeter. It's the lengths of the outsides. Okay, so because we're working with the triangle, we're going to go ahead and just add up these lengths right here. So we have 7 plus 7 plus 4, and if we do that, we would get 18 as our answer. All right, the second one was just asking what is the circumference of a circle, or how do you find the circumference? Remember, circumference is just the specific term of the perimeter of a circle. Why they decided to do a different one, I don't know, because math people are cruel like that. Remember, you're allowed to use your notes for your check-in and your end of the week quiz. So if you didn't remember the formula off the top of your head, that's okay. You can look it up in your notes. And it is just this formula, 2 times pi, which would be 3.14, times the radius. Let's say that your math teacher was really, really mean, and they gave you a problem that looked like this, where you have the diameter instead of the radius. You would just take the diameter divided by 2, and that would be your radius, which would go right here in your equation. All right, this one was asking for the area of a square, and it only gives you one side, but from what we know about a square, all of the sides are the same length, so we know this would also be 7, this one would also be 7, and the side would also be 7. For the area of a square, you're just taking length times the width, and that's it. So we take 7 times 7. If we were doing a triangle, our formula would look a little bit different. It would be height times base divided by 2. If we were doing a circle, our formula would also be a little bit different. It would be pi times the radius squared. First, you do your radius squared, take that answer times pi. All right, this one was asking for the surface area of this triangular prism. So triangular prism, or when they say prism at all, it just means a 3D version of that shape. So triangular, it's a 3D version of a triangle. Okay, so when you're doing surface area, you kind of have to break down the different shapes, find the area of those shapes, and then add those areas together. So in a triangular prism, if we were to open like this weird shape box up, we would have 2 triangles and then 3 rectangles. So we need to find the area of all of these shapes and add all of those areas together. So remember, the area of a triangle is height times base divided by 2, and in this case, the height is 8 right here. The base is 10 divided by 2, and we would have 8 times 10 is 80 divided by 2 equals 40. So that's the area for this triangle. We know it's going to be the same for this one down here. Okay, for the rectangles. So we're looking just at the rectangle right here. This side has a width of 10 and a length of 6. And remember, the area of a rectangle is just length times width, which is 60. We know that all of these rectangles would also be 60. Now we just need to add 40 plus 40 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60. And if we do that, we should get 260 as our answer. Oops, that's not an 8, that's a 0. All right, last one, the volume of a cylinder. So when you do volume, it's kind of like finding area. If it was a rectangle or square, you would take length times width times height. So this part is the area part, and we're doing one extra step, multiplying it by the height. This one's not a rectangle, it's a circle, but it's going to follow the same pattern where we're going to find the area and then just multiply it by the height. So the area of a circle is pi times r squared, and in this case, our r is just 4. So remember, you got to take the 4 squared multiplied by pi, and our area is 50.265. Okay, but we're not done yet. We found the area part. Now we just need to multiply it by the height, which is 10, and that would be 502.65 is our final answer. If you guys have any questions on that, feel free to ask. Just remember that these questions are going to align very closely to your end of the week quiz on Friday.